and induce some frustration. Ah! Hey, it's Annika here with Sniffdog. This is the long-awaited leash biting video that I've had lots of requests for. If you've got a dog that is scaring you, embarrassing you, or playing tug with that leash on all of your walks, this video is for you.
At Sniffdog, we're here to teach you how to speak dog. If you can have a better understanding of your dog, you can have a relationship built off trust and fun. We want to come on this wonderful journey of pet ownership with you to help empower the love and connection between you and your pup.
Really quick before we get started, we're going to do our usual shout out to Indy the Choco Lab. Thank you so much for sending us videos of you having a great old time on your first hike in the snow, and thanks for the continued support. If you want to be a featured pet on our YouTube videos, make sure that you leave us some comments about what you want to learn more about and like and share our videos. Don't forget to download the training tip sheet. I made it for you. You're gonna need this one, and stay to the end because as always, we've got bloopers. Okay, there's a reason I put off doing this video. It's very complex to stop a dog from biting at the leash. Biting at the leash often starts as a really cute puppy behavior. When your dog feels overwhelmed in a new environment, they're walking down the street, there's lots of cars and dogs and birds and sticks and smells. And when puppies are overwhelmed, a lot of them will look for something to put in their mouth, particularly retrievers or doodles and poodles. These guys are really prone to wanting to pick things up when they're quite stressed out. What happens is the nearest thing to them is a leash when they're puppies, and so they start dangling it in their mouth and carrying it with them. And that's really cute at first, and sometimes it's difficult to deter from because it's so cute when it looks like they're walking themselves. However, by the time your dog is about 4 months old, 5 months old, it might be a habit that's ingrained in them, and in fact, a coping mechanism for the environment that is overstimulating them. And they become almost in need of that leash being in their mouth compulsively. And when they get stressed out or agitated by something in their natural environment, for example, not being able to say hi to another dog on leash, they feel frustrated and then they look for that thing that they've always turned to, the leash. Now, to make matters worse, often we play tug with the leash by accident. If you're holding the leash and they're biting on it, that tug game is very reinforcing for your dog. It feels really good to get their frustration out by biting and shaking at the leash. They're agitated by something else, they're taking it out on the leash. Now, if you're holding the leash, you're accidentally playing the game of tug with them just by keeping them safe and holding the leash, which is why you're shit out of luck if you have this problem sometimes, because you can't drop the leash in a busy outside environment just because your dog is biting it, and you get stuck in this cyclical pattern of the behavior happening and you not knowing what to do to get rid of it. What you'll need for today's video is a harness, a 6-foot nylon leash, a metal carabiner, or a leash with 2 ends on either side that have clips on them. All right, let's get to tip number 1, the common causes of leash biting resurrecting in the first place. Moving forward, I'm going to refer to leash biting applying to dogs that are about 4 months plus. That's when it really becomes a problem. Under 4 months, they're likely just carrying it in their mouths. If you're under 4 months, your dog rather, is under 4 months, just pick up something else for them to put their mouth on instead. You can tie a little tug toy to their collar or harness and put it in their mouth for them to carry like a soother. You can look for a stick for your dog to bite at instead if they're frustrated outside, or you can walk with a tug toy in your pocket to give them when they start looking like they're getting agitated. The rest of the tips today are for dogs over 4 months because that's when this becomes a bit more complex, and that leash biting often turns into arm and hand biting. Common causes are agitation, a lack of frustration tolerance, meaning patience, and your dog being really stressed out and overstimulated in the area in which you are exercising them. If you are not giving your dog enough off-leash party time when they're a teenager between 4 months and a year old, or even 2 years old, you're likely causing a lot of leash frustration, which they're taking out literally on the leash. You need to make sure you're doing 50% off-leash party, whether that's in a safe daycare, a backyard, on a long line on a long leash, in a big green space, or in your backyard. They have to have some outlet of feeling off leash in order to get those zoomies out. The other 50% of the walks that you should be doing are leashed walks with manners and rules and training being enforced. If you don't have a balance of those two things, your dog is very likely getting frustrated on the leash because their innate needs aren't being met. If we don't deal with the root cause of this frustration fit on a leash, then we can't fix the fit themselves. So I will always help you address the cause before we get to the solution. Another common cause is agitation. If your dog is used to meeting every dog and every person when they're out on a leash walk, and then you stop letting them do that because they're no longer adorable puppies, they are often very frustrated by that. They want to have access to those people and those dogs. And when you start saying, no, we're going this way, well, then that is often the cause of a big frustration fit on the leash. So I would recommend you only let them meet 50% of the people or the dogs that they want to on walks from a very young age, so they don't develop an expectation, which leads to leash fighting. Another common cause is overstimulation. If you are over-exercising your dog, too much off-leash time, too long of walks, maybe 45 minutes is the max that your dog needs, too far away from home, they're too young to have all that stimulation on a walk, well, on the way home, they're very likely to be kind of shitty on the leash and take it out on the leash because they're so overtired and overstimulated. If you have a dog that gets overstimulated easily or has a leash biting problem, you want to make sure to be walking in quiet areas. Don't go to the thick of it to socialize them. They need really short exposure to stimulating environments like busy streets, and then ease off and walk on really quiet little areas to help keep their agitation and their overstimulation at bay. Another common cause of leash biting is a dog that's not getting enough alone time. Dogs need ample opportunity every single day to rest and reset their nervous system. If you're with them all day long, they're self-regulating their own naps and you're not helping them actually turn off in their crate, a pen, or a different room, or they're just following you around in a really busy home, or they have isolation anxiety and you can't leave them home alone, these are all often common triggers as well. Dogs that have low frustration tolerance, which are often the leash biting dogs, need more forced nap time after exercise so they can reset their nervous system and just have a little bit more of a patience threshold to work with the next time they're out on a walk and exposed to frustrating or overstimulating situations. You want to make sure that your dog's stress bucket is empty. I always explain to my clients, dogs have a stress bucket that fill over 1 to 2 days. If that stress bucket fills and accumulates, they're going to trigger stack to the point that they spill that stress bucket out on a walk and then start leash biting. So things that empty a dog's stress bucket in your home would be cuddles, rest and reset time, lots of Kongs and interactive feeding toys, bully sticks, bones, nice nap time in a quiet room, nice long off-leash walks in quiet areas, or short city walks. These are all things that will decrease your dog's stress levels. Rest is one of the most important components. Things that increase the stress bucket and make it more likely for them to trigger stack and then leash bite on a walk includes not enough nap time, not enough rest alone in the home, not enough chew toys, not enough exercise, only walking in city environments that are really busy, and not enough dog playtime. You want to make sure you're facilitating the right things instead of the wrong things in your home so that their behavior out of your home is not leading to frustration fits like biting on the leash. So your homework is start paying attention to what you might be doing that's making this problem worse. One other common problem is that you're playing tug with them, like I said at the beginning of the video. So you want to make sure that you drop the leash or stop walking altogether if you have no option. Try not to play tug with the leash ever in any situation. The other thing to remember is that we want to keep behavior calm on walks. So walk slowly and don't always take the same route. If you're always going to the park to play fetch, your dog's gonna get way overstimulated about getting to the park to play fetch. They might leash frustrate on the way to the park and bite the leash in anticipation of getting there. What's actually more likely to happen is they start biting the leash when you leave the park because you've over-aroused them and you've overexcited them. If you have a leash biter, do not play fetch at the same park over and over. You might be the one causing the problem by overstimulating them with too predictable of an exercise routine that way increases their stress bucket because they get crazy in party mode. So don't play fetch too often and change up your walking routes if your dog is prone to this problem. Okay, let's get to the solutions. Tip number 2, prevention. If your dog has this problem, the first thing you need to do is write a list of all the things that cause the biting fits to happen. Whether it's leash biting or arm biting, we need to know the precursors. Common trends are turning in the direction of home on a walk, being taken away from a dog they wanted to play with, and then they start biting at the leash when you walk away. After fetch, like I've said, games of fetch, and then trying to come home when they're crazy in party mode and you've put them back on the leash. Walking through scary intersections that your dog might be anticipating a little bit of discomfort, they might start doing it then, and then oftentimes when you get quite close to home and they don't want to go home, they get really frustrated and agitated. Write a list of the things that cause leash biting in the first place. If you see it in certain areas of your walk, that is something to write down. We need to be paying attention to them before the fit begins. And what I want you to do is understand, okay, this is happening, or we're in this spot, they're very likely to start leash biting. Stop walking before it happens. Stop walking and get them to use this old thing by doing maybe 1 to 5 minutes of training on the spot, as long as it's quiet around you and you're not right on a corner of an intersection. So take space from busy things first, stop and slow them down. Take 3 deep breaths yourself to help them soothe a little bit, and then play the helicopter game maybe. Show them a treat, straight to their nose, hold it up overhead, and slowly deliver it to them. If they jump, you take it away and you try again. This game particularly gives them something else to focus on other than whatever might be leading to a frustration fit. Another example you could do is up, up, stay. Get them to jump up on an obstacle as per our other YouTube videos, and get them to connect back with their body and stop connecting with the environment around them so much. Get them to overcome a rock, a log, a park bench, or a table, and pay attention to you calmly before being released on the rest of your walk. The key here, folks, really is to slow down your dog's energy and refocus your dog onto you before you enter the potential problem area, or right before they begin the fit itself that you are anticipating based on what just happened on your walk. Exercises that will help with that are up, up, stay, leave it, and the helicopter game. You can also do any other training games like spin, twist, peekaboo, any tricks your dog knows, but the slower ones that engage their brain a bit more and induce some frustration and focus on you are going to be best suited to preventing the frustration fit from happening in the first place. Your other really important option that you can always resort to is if you feel a fit coming on and you're actually scared because your dog has hurt you, it has turned into biting and ripping at clothes, which is sometimes the case. Before the fit begins, before they ever move their mouth towards you or that leash, take a handful of high value 1-ingredient treats and stick it straight to their nose beside you and lure them across the intersection through the problem area into the direction of home or away from the dog that triggered the potential frustration fit in the first place. So you can always lure them to distract them to prevent it, but I'd rather you just catch their brain with some training games, hang out for a couple minutes till they're calm, and then keep on walking and then try again. You want to break this down into little chunks as you approach potential problem areas. One key thing to look for to know, I am avoiding this fit from happening, is a full body shake off. If after your little training interval, your dog shakes off as if they're wet, they're literally saying to you, thank you, I needed that. Their body is calming itself and reducing its stress and tension. So it's beautiful to see a shake off right after a mini training session that is used as a prevention tool to the biting fit from happening. All right, tip number 3, how do you react when it actually happens? Before I get started on this, I want to make note. At the beginning of the video, I told you you are going to need a carabiner or a leash that has a clip on either end of it rather than a handle on one end of it and a clip on the other. The reason is we're going to go through the 3 options of what to do when a frustration fit does begin to occur, and you're going to need a carabiner for option number 1. So without further ado, one of the best options that I found helpful once a frustration fit begins is both ethical and punishing to your dog. So we want to make sure we're fair on them when we do this. We're not trying to be mean, but we are trying to keep you safe. This is primarily for people who have a problem where you're actually getting your clothes ripped or arms bitten at in a way that hurts. If your dog is just biting the leash, you don't have to do this option. But option number 1 is the most severe. I want you, as soon as the frustration fit begins, when they go that first time for your arm or the leash, immediately look in your environment as you're saying, oh shit, to yourself, and look for something to tether your dog to. It could be a bench, a bike rack, a pole, a post, or a tree, something to tether them to in a hurry. You have the carabiner on the end of your leash so that you can quickly, if this was the pole wrap your leash around it and clip the carabiner to the other side of the leash. So you've secured your dog to something safe and you can walk just outside of their reach. If you have a double-ended leash, you have one leash clip to the dog and the other clip can go right around and attach to the leash as well. We're looking for a fast acting clip to a solid object so that you can walk just out of your dog's reach. If your dog's leash reaches to here, you're gonna come stand a foot or two just out of their reach. You're there to support them. You're not abandoning them, but they can't reach you. They can't keep practicing the biting up at you pattern, and they're not likely to bite at the leash now that it's behind them and tethered. Wait for them to calm down. They might bark, they might dig, they might look for something to pick up chronically. Just stand there using soothing voices. It's okay, I'm right here. Good boy, and just try to make some happy voices to help them settle down. They might frustrate on that leash for a couple of minutes. You're there, you're not doing anything wrong, you're just waiting for them to be done being so agitated. When they're done for about 30 seconds, totally calm and quiet, maybe looking at you like, what the hell are we doing? Enter their space again. If they jump at you or bite at you, exit their space again. And you can repeat that as needed until you enter their space and they're calm and polite because they've been basically on a timeout on a tree. That works if you're not in a super busy area. It doesn't work for all dogs. It doesn't work for all people. It's also not totally not embarrassing. So you just try that if that's really your only option, primarily for those biters out there. Remember, when you take them off of that tether and you start going on your walk, if they start getting agitated again, go through the preventative ways that you can keep them calm through some training games like in tip number 2. There's going to need to be a lot of repetition of tethering and waiting outside their reach. It's not going to work just one time. It's a habit that's been developed, so you're going to have to commit to repeating this many times over before they start to really go,
okay, leash biting or arm biting or jumping at you and lunging at you isn't working anymore.
Let's get to option number 2. Option number 2 is to immediately look for something to put in their mouth instead of the leash. So if you feel a fit coming and they start jumping up, look for a big stick or walk with a tug toy that you can pull out to put in their mouth instead of the leash. You can hold that tug toy and play tug with them on the street to give them a different outlet than the leash and you to take that frustration out on. This wouldn't be my first choice because it does reinforce that frustration fit. It just reinforces it onto the right item instead of the wrong item, and it keeps your arms safe. And lastly, option number 3, once the fit begins in the first place, is to simply get them playing some of those 3 patience games I talked about in tip number 2. So you could do the helicopter game with a treat, you can do a long leave it game with a treat, or you can do an up stay with treats. However, you are never, ever, ever, ever going to give your dog a treat right after they've had a frustration fit. If you're doing the helicopter game to refocus them after they've bitten at you or the leash, they have to do it for 1 whole minute before they get one measly treat. Because I don't want your dog to learn,
oh, I start having a little bit of frustration and then we get treats for that.
I don't want them to get treats within 1 minute of any mouth on you, mouth on your arms, or mouth on the leash. So if you are gonna do option number 3, which is brain games and training after the fit's begun to refocus them on you, make them work really freaking hard to get that food so we're not accidentally rewarding them by bringing food out after the fit has begun in the first place. One other thing you should not do is reward your dog for dropping the leash or leaving the leash. This, in fact, creates a pattern of bite leash, drop leash, treat. So they're going to keep biting the leash in the name of getting the treats. That's sort of how this behavior can develop from puppyhood. So do not reward them with food for dropping or leaving the leash. All right, those are the 3 main tips I can give you to start preventing and understanding common reasons why this behavior happens, and then solutions when it does happen to save you the embarrassment. You've got 3 options to choose from in order to eradicate this behavior. I really want to stretch to you, this behavior is symptomatic of an underlying issue. Whether it's a dog that really lacks frustration tolerance or patience, or has pain and discomfort chronically in their body, or is very overstimulated by the environment in which you're choosing to walk them, I want you to get curious about what you're doing wrong that is leading to this behavior issue, because it's not always your dog's fault. There's definitely some things in the home that can be contributing to this, or the way that you're exercising them that is also contributing to this behavior bubbling up in the first place. I hope you found this helpful. I know you have, because so many of you have this problem. If you currently have a leash biting puppy, remember you could just put a little tug toy attached to their collar or their harness, or reach for a stick to redirect them to. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, press the notify button so you find out when our videos come out every week. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, like and share our videos with your friends. Download the training tip sheet, it's loaded today, and enjoy the bloopers. Thank you for watching the other end of the leash. We'll get there. We'll get there. The are you talking about, Anika? I want you to pay attention. I would really, what was I gonna say? It's